Thanks, Tom, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, CIA seeks widened authority for Yemen drone strikes. New photos show U.S. soldiers posing with dead Afghans. And India tests long-range nuclear missile. And in Iraq, dozens killed in massive wave of attacks. And activists demand release of Bahraini hunger striker. And ban accuses Syria's Assad of flouting ceasefire. And Honduran farm workers launch occupation for land rights. And GOP House panel votes to slash food aid programs. And EPA issues first-ever curbs on fracking air pollution. Multi-billion-dollar BP settlement outlined in court filings. And UC Davis police chief resigns over pepper spraying. And 3 Secret Service agents forced out in prostitution scandal. And Portland man strips naked to protest airport screening. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed on our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, the CIA is seeking White House approval for a radical expansion of its drone strike program inside Yemen. According to the Washington Post, CIA Chief David Petraeus has asked President Obama to give the CIA authority to launch drone attacks against terror suspects, even if it does not know the identities of those who will be killed. Capability would allow the drone strikes based on a vast range of factors, including whether intelligence officials decided they are observing suspicious behavior. The sweeping leeway to launch attacks has already been in effect in Pakistan, where U.S. drones have killed hundreds of civilians, according to the website Long War Journal. 198 suspected militants and 48 civilians have been killed in 27 U.S. strikes inside Yemen since 2009. And India says it has successfully launched an intercontinental missile capable of carrying nuclear warhead, the Agni-5, with a range of more than 3,000 miles, meaning it could reach China and Europe. India joins 6 other countries that are believed to have such long-range missiles, including the United States, Russia, China, France, Britain, and Israel. India has developed nuclear capability with tactic behind the United States that lifted a ban on nuclear trade in Delhi in 2008. At least 36 people have been killed in a series of blasts across Iraq. More than 20 bombs were reported in cities and towns across the country. What appeared to be a wave of coordinated attacks. More than 100 people were wounded. And another protest that was held Wednesday called for the release of Abdullah Hadi Aklawajah, the jailed activist that's been in a hunger strike for more than 2 months. Bahraini police fired stun grenades in the crowd to clear the crowd. The guy's wife updated on her husband's condition and criticized Formula One chief Bernie Ecclestone for ignoring the plight and said, "He calls every time for 5 minutes and that's a relief for me. At least I know that he's okay and why today's telephone call is the most important call to me. He stopped the I-5, the drip." Well, I guess he's on, he's in a hospital at this point. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is accusing the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad of failing to meet the terms of the international peace plan. In a report to the UN Security Council, Ban says Assad's forces are flouting the ceasefire with continued attacks on the opposition areas. Ban also called for the deployment of hundreds of additional international monitors to observe the situation on the ground Head of the current monitoring system, UN Colonel Ahmed Hamich, called for time to build trust with all sides in the conflict, and he said, "Our mission, as you know, is to establish a liaison with the Syrian government, Syrian security forces, and also other parties. To establish a liaison, I mean we need time, we need trust, we need to build confidence and trust within the parties to achieve this. We are both engaged, and a means of liaison with both the authorities and also with the other parties, and I think we'll achieve our mandate. If you help us and explain our mandate, because there is a lot of expectation that are beyond a team of 30 military observers." Whatever. In Honduras, farm workers have launched a coordinated occupation nationwide in a major action to assert their land rights, marking the International Peasant Day of Struggle. On Tuesday, thousands of families began squatting in over 46 square miles of farmland. The farmers say the occupied land is public property exploited by wealthy ranchers. Peasant rights group Via Campesina said the largest occupation is taking place in Honduras' Caribbean coast, where around 1,500 farm workers have occupied land held by a sugar plantation. And a Republican-controlled House panel has voted to approve of $33 billion in cuts in food assistance programs over a 10-year period. Moved by the House Representatives' Agricultural Committee would tighten rules for qualifying for government food aid, repeal a 2009 increase to the program. Instead of cutting subsidies to Rios farmers, Democrats say the measure is dead on arrival in the Senate. Well, isn't everything dead on arrival in the Senate, since they do absolutely nothing? The Environmental Protection Agency has issued its first ever regulations aimed at curbing rampant air pollution from the controversial gas drilling process known as hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. Fracking releases a range of toxics and cancer-causing chemicals into the air, including benzene, hexane, and methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide. The standards coming after widespread complaints of health problems and air pollution from all those living near drilling sites followed objections from the oil and gas industry over the potential cost and the regulations. The EPA has given the industry nearly 3 years to install technology that will allow to capture some of the worst pollutants. Companies will be allowed to continue burning or flaring methane into the air until January 2015. And in terms of a multi-billion-dollar settlement between oil giant BP and those affected in the 2010 oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico has been disclosed in hundreds of pages of documents filed in federal court. Broad terms of the settlement appear to unchanged since the agreement was reached last month. The deal includes an estimated $7.8 billion in payments for economic loss and medical claims to victims of the oil disaster, many of whom are still living with the consequences of the spill. The settlement also includes $600 million in payments to lawyers involved in the massive suit. Friday is the second anniversary of the explosion of the Deepwater Horizon rig that killed 11 workers and sent nearly 5 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. Police chief at the University of California, UC Davis, has resigned over the controversial pepper spraying of students occupying protesters last November. The incident sparked a nationwide outcry after video was posted online showing a campus police lieutenant repeatedly pepper spraying students in the face from only a few feet away as they sat on the ground. Police Chief Annette Spinacusa was among the numbers of top officials faulted by the university-appointed task force in the report last week. And 3 Secret Service employees are being forced out of the agency following the prostitution scandal that erupted last week and overshadowed President Obama's trip to Colombia. 3 employees are leaving the agency while several others are reportedly on administrative leave. Both U.S. military and Secret Service personnel were reportedly involved in bringing prostitutes to a Cartagena hotel. One agent reportedly got into a dispute with a prostitute after trying to pay her less money than he initially agreed. A man who stripped naked at the airport security checkpoint in Portland, Oregon, earlier this week said his act was a form of protest against airport screening measures. John Brennan told the Associated Press he was being nude, but not lewd, cast his actions as political speech. Brennan was arrested and initially charged with disorderly conduct and indecent exposure after stripping naked at Portland International Airport. Brennan says he decided to strip when he was pulled aside after he had gone through a metal detector and a pat-down. His actions came amid a mounting criticism over the airport security measures, including concerns over the health impacts of full-body scanners used at the airports. And that's it for World News today. Now we'd like to thank another one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
No one needs anyone, they don't even just pretend. John is an American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter and pictures in the blotter, not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Tuesday, 7:40 a.m., I'm sorry. Caller from 600 block at Kate Hayes Street reported a woman and a man screaming and fighting. The man was arrested on an outstanding warrant. And 10:57 a.m., caller from a business in 100 block of West Main Street reported theft of paintball helmets. 11:31 a.m., a caller from 800 block of Sutton Way reported finding a bag of marijuana. 11:47 a.m., a caller from 300 block of Bennett Street reported a physical fight. No charges were desired. And 12:48 p.m., a caller from 1100 block of East Main Street reported receiving a counterfeit $50 bill. 1:10 p.m., a caller from 300 block of East Main Street reported a burglary in progress. No one was located. At 1:21 p.m., a caller from 700 block of Sutton Way reported a man stole an item and got into an argument, then left. At 1:28 p.m., a caller from West Berryhill Drive reported a physical fight. 2:11 p.m., a caller from Brighton Street and Packard Drive reported a man fighting with himself who was gone when officers arrived. 2:48 p.m., a caller from 200 block at Sierra College Drive reported a shoplifter. And 4:05 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Railroad Avenue reported a possible theft of metal. And 5:18 p.m., a caller from 2000 block of Nevada City Highway reported a woman honking and screaming obscenities. 5:25 p.m., a caller from Pleasant and Tembe Streets reported a man cussing at himself. 5:51 p.m., a caller from Brighton Street reported the man was looking in garages and windows. He was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. 8:18 p.m., a woman from Condon Park reported hearing a child crying for its daddy. No child was located. The woman was arrested on suspicion of violating probation. And Wednesday, 12:52 a.m., a man from 600 block of South Auburn Street reported a man yelling and threatening him. And 1:10 a.m., a caller from 200 block of North Auburn Street reported a man sleeping in the hallway who was moving on. 5:07 a.m., multiple callers reported a loud explosion on Brunswick Road. It was found to have been a tractor-trailer tire blowing out. In Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday, 8:17 a.m., a caller from McCourtney Road reported a juvenile in possession of a marijuana pipe and possibly under the influence of a controlled substance. Juvenile was cited on unknown charges. At 8:26 a.m., a caller from Garden Bar and Countryside Ranch Roads reported a man lying in the road. 10:15 a.m., a woman from 13,000 block of Rough and Ready Highway reported theft of mail from a mailbox on Friday with a pile of missing mail in the street the next day. At 10:17 a.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Alta Sierra Drive reported theft of a dog. 12:23 p.m., caller from Highway 49 and Coyote Street reported finding a firearm in the brush. And 1:40 p.m., caller from 13,000 block of Retrack Way reported theft of a vehicle. And 2:42 p.m., caller from 15,000 block of Grizzly Hill Road reported theft of a cell phone and $18,000. And 3:10 p.m., caller from Cruising Grade and Backbone Roads reported a person threw rocks at a vehicle and broke a window. At 3:30 p.m., a caller from Banner Quaker Hill Road and Mountain View Drive reported a large amount of shooting. 5:08 p.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Empress Road reported a residential burglary with access gained through an open kitchen window. A flat screen TV was missing. 5:32 p.m., caller from 10,000 block of Combridge Road reported two men in a vehicle smoking marijuana who could not be located. And 7:32 p.m., a man from 12,000 block of Creek View Drive reported his neighbor tried to run him over. And 8:14 p.m., a caller from 15,000 block of Little Valley Road reported a person lying in a sleeping bag on the side of the road who was arrested on an out-of-county warrant. And 9:09 p.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Rough and Ready Highway reported an assault but did not want medical attention. At 9:27 p.m., a caller from 21,000 block of Running Horse Road reported theft of items from a resident. And 10:57 p.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Via Vista reported multiple dirt bikers. And Wednesday, 12:52 a.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Combe Road reported vandalism to a vehicle. And 12:57 a.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Pleasant Valley Road reported a very loud party. And 1:12 a.m., a woman from 15,000 block of Little Valley Road reported people breaking and entering. She was arrested on suspicion of violating probation. And 4:14 a.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Cedar Way reported theft of shotgun shells from an unlocked vehicle. Nevada City Police Department on Tuesday. 12:53 p.m., caller from 200 block of King Herm Drive reported receiving a fraudulent phone call. And 2:07 p.m., caller from Commercial and North Pine Streets reported a large group of people in an argument. One man was arrested on suspicion of possession drug paraphernalia. One man was arrested on suspicion of being under the influence of a controlled substance and violating probation. And one man was arrested on suspicion of being under the influence of a controlled substance. 11:06 p.m., caller from 500 block of Sacramento Street reported 2 men tried to trespass, then fled on foot. And that's it today for the Police Blotter. Now we'd like to thank another one of our underwriters who supports your only visual, video, news, media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Like desserts? They got them. You like international style lunches? They got them. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. In local news headlines, Assembly Committee votes to extend Laura's Law. And sheriff's deputies involved in hostage situation to be honored. And burglar sentenced in 2 cases. And North San Juan man arrested on drug and weapons charges. And man arrested after allegedly fleeing from fighting with the deputy. Today's first local story out of Sacramento. Assembly Judiciary Committee voted unanimously on Tuesday to support AB 1569, which will extend Laura's Law until 2017. Vote follows testimony on the success of Nevada County's Laura's Law program from Nevada County Superior Court Judge Tom Anderson and Nevada County Behavioral Health Director Michael Haggerty. Laura's Law is named for Laura Wilcox, which was murdered in Nevada City in 2001 shooting spree by Scott Thorpe, a man with schizophrenia when untreated despite his family's best efforts. Laura's Law is a process that allows courts to compel individuals with severe mental illness and a history of arrest or violence to stay in treatment as a condition for living in the community. Judiciary Committee also heard testimony from Penn Valley resident Nick Wilcox, Laura Wilcox's father, from Scott Thorpe's family, supporters of Laura's Law, and from other supporters and opponents of the program. Under the original Laura's Law Act, the program sunsets in 2013. AB 1569 would extend the law until 2017. Judiciary Committee action on AB 1569 takes place 2 weeks after the bill was approved by the Assembly Committee on Health. Assemblyman Dan Logue of Yuba County is a member of the Committee on Health and voted in support of the bill. AB 1569 now moves to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Laura's Law requires no new money from the state. Haggerty estimated Nevada County has saved $1.81 for every dollar invested in the program. Great program, and it's a very sad case. In a story written by Liz Keller of the Union, a number of Nevada County Sheriff deputies will be honored for their efforts in trying to resolve a hostage situation last fall. Standoff on September 24, 2011 ended with John Arthur Salazar, 53, being shot and killed as he held his girlfriend hostage at knife point. In a ceremony Friday morning, Sergeant Ray Kress was awarded the Medal of Valor for saving the woman's life. Special enforcement details similar to the SWAT team will receive a Sheriff's Commendation, and Critical Incident Negotiation Team will receive a Sheriff's Unit citation. It was a tragic shooting, Sheriff Keith Royal said. Anytime we take a life, it's a tragic event, but these officers took steps we believe saved the victim's life. Salazar, 53, was shot after a 3-hour standoff at his residence, 12,000 block of Wolf Road near Dugan's Road. Salazar allegedly had a prior criminal history that included drug charges, assault with a deadly weapon, and weapons violations. Deputies responded to the residence for the physical domestic dispute, forcing entry to the house, and found Salazar standing at the top of the stairway with his arm around the neck of his 55-year-old fiancée with a knife to her throat. Salazar told the deputies if they advanced any further he would cut her throat, then went into the bedroom and barricaded the door. He then rejected several attempts by negotiators to communicate by phone. After about 3 hours, SED officers who were inside the residence downstairs became concerned that the woman's life was in danger, gained entry to the bedroom, and fired one shot, killing Salazar. Officers are being recognized for taking steps to save the woman's life and for placing themselves in a position of risk, Royal added. They went above and beyond. Sheriff Unit citations are given to recognize a group performing as a team that did an outstanding job or task. Critical Incident Negotiations Team members received this recognition are Sergeant Paul Schmidt, Sergeant Chris Sharp, Sergeant James Caskey, and Deputies Sam Brown, Robert Bringoff, and Justin Martin and Philip Carpenter. Sheriff Commendations recognition service that reflects credit of the Sheriff's Office. Special Enforcement Detail Team members were being recognized are Captain Jeff Powell, Lieutenant Steve Tripp, Sergeant Dan Saunders, Guy Selleck, Sergeant, Deputies Jacobs, Lade, Hudson, and Reserve Steve Stanley, I think it was. Medal of Valor recognition is given to a situation where it is clear the officer knows he's facing a life-threatening for himself and others, and where there's a real or genuine threat, is put into a dangerous situation voluntary for the purpose of saving a life or apprehending a dangerous person, Royal explained. It reserved for exceptional behavior or courage in the line of duty. And another Liz Keller story, one of the two suspects arrested in connection with the March 30th burglary has pleaded guilty and will be sentenced to 6 years and 8 months in state prison for being part of a resolution involving a second burglary case dating back to 2011. Brendan Moore, 27, had been caught mid-robbery by an owner, Idaho Maryland Road residence, March 30th, and fled in a red children's BMX bicycle. Evidence of the scene led Nevada County Sheriff's deputies to a residence on Walker Drive in Grass Valley, where Moore was arrested the next day. He was charged with first-degree burglary, being in possession of stolen property, and committing a petty theft with the prior. On April 5th, Moore pleaded guilty to a burglary charge as part of a plea agreement. Sentencing was set for 1:30 p.m. Monday. The plea agreement calls for Moore to be sentenced to 1 year and 4 months in the March 30th burglary, plus 5 years and 4 months in connection with the June 2011 arrest. He had previously pleaded guilty in August 2011 to 2 counts of burglary in connection with that arrest. He had been found walking around a neighborhood with where 2 burglaries had just been reported, in the 10,000 block of Gold Drive and 10,000 block of Owl Road. Moore's residence was searched and deputies found stolen property from both residences. In that case, Moore had agreed to complete a 1-year residential drug treatment program, but he walked away from the program in October 2011, and a warrant was issued for his arrest in January. Moore's co-defendant in the March 30th burglary arrest, Gregory Pelter, is set to enter a plea Thursday afternoon. He faces charges of burglary, possession of stolen property, and being a felon in possession of ammunition. In other court news, a Nevada City man was pleaded no contest to unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor after being arrested on statutory rape and drug charges April 4th. James Clark Black, 31, was arrested by the Nevada City Police after officers responded to a call from an unidentified 17-year-old girl who claimed she had been drugged and raped. Clark Black allegedly was found to be in possession of methamphetamine. On Thursday, Clark Black pleaded no contest to intercourse charge in a plea agreement that calls for 150 days in jail and 3 years probation. He will be sentenced 9 a.m. May 8th. In another Liz Keller story, North San Juan man was arrested on drugs and weapons charges after being stopped on Highway 49 for driving while talking on his cell phone. A member of the Nevada County Sheriff's Narcotics Task Force spotted Brad Maxwell Forrester, 26, near Comby Road and initiated an April 12th traffic stop, task force spokesman said. Forrester had search and seizure terms stemming from a prior arrest. The spokesperson said a search of his vehicle allegedly uncovered brass knuckles, as well as a small amount of marijuana and a hydrocodone pill. Deputies then went to Forrester's residence, found an illegal assault rifle. Spokesman said they also allegedly found a small quantity of marijuana, as well as several $1,000s of cash. There was evidence of prior outdoor and indoor marijuana grows, but no active cultivation operation, the spokesman said. Forrester was arrested on suspicion of possessing a controlled substance, brass knuckles, and assault rifle, possessing marijuana while driving, and possessing marijuana and controlled substance. He was booked and released on a $12,250 bail. Forrester is currently facing charges for a January 2011 drunken driving and drug arrest following an early morning chase on Highway 49. He will be in court on those charges 9 a.m. next Monday. In our last Liz Keller story, a 20-year-old man remains in jail after he allegedly ran from and fought with Nevada County Sheriff deputies Monday afternoon. A woman in the 15,000 block of Little Valley Road called 911 at about 11:15 a.m. to report that Montel Talbert James had knocked on the door of her mobile home in violation of a restraining order. Deputies checked the area but were unable to locate James, said Sheriff Keith Royal. James reportedly returned to the trailer just before 3 p.m. and a neighbor called law enforcement. When a deputy confronted James, he allegedly resisted arrest and started running, Royal said. The deputy gave chase, following as James jumped about a 10 foot into another area of the park. The two fought on the ground, with James hitting the deputy in the head with his elbow before taking off again. The deputy continued to chase James as he ran towards Alta Sierra Drive, cutting across a vacant lot and then up a ditch towards Keenan Way. Deputies eventually located James on Keenan Way behind property that had been his mother's residence, Royal said. After being threatened with a taser, he allegedly complied with deputies and was arrested. James was booked into county jail on suspicion of resisting arrest, violating a restraining order, vandalism, and trespassing. He's being held in lieu of a $13,000 bail. And that's it for local news today. Now we'd like to thank we thank the Union, Associated Press, Amy Goodman, and Reuters for the source number news, and you for watching. You can watch this broadcast on Comcast Cable, Channel 11.